Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and buckle up. I'm about to kick some knowledge. For those of you out there who are thinking Jermell Charlo is going to go up to 168, probably coming to the fight weighing 175 or maybe 170, doesn't matter. And to think he's going to shed 14, 20, 30 pounds, whatever it is, whatever amount of weight he's going to put on, right? I think he's going to be able to shed that weight and come back down to 154 and keep defending his belts. If you're thinking that, I got to tell you, in the most respectful way, and it's more of a kind request, that you hold your horses and not take it to the stupid. Let me tell you what's going on. And this is my opinion. I think Haymon gave Jermell Charlo a retirement fight for him to free up those belts at 154. Now you say, well, why would you say that? Well, I say, well, let's look at a few things, right? Okay. Jermell and his brother, Jermell, something's going on with those guys. You know what I'm saying? We understand Jermell, the personal issues, out of the ring for a few years, and it's real unfortunate, okay? But you look at Jermell now, and with him, and they're twins. He's feeding off of his brother's energy. I'm telling you, his brother's suffering, he's suffering. And I really feel with the last few years, ups and downs that Jermell was going through, I think Jermell was feeling that and going through that. And that could be a reason why, he's so temperamental. And I'm going to tell you from personal experience, I understand. You know what I'm saying? I was in a relationship once. And once I, removed, that's what it was like a old sneaker that was giving me shin splints. And once I removed that sneaker, hey, man, I felt a lot better. And people around me noticed, man, you walking better. Yeah, I got rid of that old goddamn shoe. So I think with those guys, I think that's affected their attitudes. But long story short, for those people who are wondering, how the hell, out of everyone Haymon had on his stable, why did he pick Jermell Charlo? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because I think deep down, Haymon has had conversations with Jermell. I think Jermell may have even communicated that he wants to do something different. I mean, what else can you do? You become undisputed, right? When you set goals as a boxer, in any profession, and you reach the top, what other goal can Jermell Charlo set? It's retirement now, you know what I mean? He just did an interview, talked about how he owns everything, he's paid cash for everything, he has assets, not liabilities, and now he's about to go and fight Canelo. Let me tell you something. For those of you who are saying this isn't a retirement fight, understand this. Jermell was supposed to go fight Tim Tszyu. Y'all remember Tim Tszyu? Y'all don't know who Tim Tszyu is? This guy right here, the number one ranked 23-0, the Australian fighter, right? Jermell was supposed to go fight Tim Tszyu in Australia. Tim Tszyu was gaining some momentum. I don't think he would have beat Jermell, but I'll tell you this. If he lands a clean shot on anybody, Tim Tszyu looks like he's got the tranquilizer. But long story short, there were a lot of issues trying to make that fight with getting Jermell to go to, whether Jermell would go down to Australia, where he would probably make close to $30 million, right? That's the kind of money that was being talked about. That's how much money was looking to be put up with the live gate, the guarantees, pay-per-view, everything. The site fees. Jermell Charlo could have easily walked into a fight with Tim Tszyu and walked away with damn near $30 million. But of course, going to Australia, naturally, guys that have concerns, just like the Australian fighter coming to fight in the States. Yeah, we have concerns, judging, the money, etc. So with Jermell Charlo, he probably, although he was the A side, when it comes to the business part of it, the A side stuff wouldn't have mattered because they're going to go to where the money's at. That being said, $30 million potential for Charlo versus Tszyu. Now Charlo's fighting Canelo. Canelo, we know, 3-fight deal for $100 million, then pay-per-view on top, right? We know Canelo's getting paid. You can't make me believe that Jermell Charlo's not going to fight Canelo and not get at least $30 million. This is what they're doing to Jermell Charlo. First of all, he was the A side against Zoo. And, he's going against Canelo. He's no longer the A side. But you better believe, for him to give up his A side, for him to give up, at least 14 pounds, okay? It's going to be way more than that going against Canelo, right? 14 pounds. This whole thing about the undefeated, man, being, I call him undefeated, but he's not. He has one loss, right? But for him to go up now and put himself where he is, he's not the favorite, right? And you want him to go do this amidst all the ups and downs going on with his brother and stuff going on even with him stressing about his brother and stuff like that. Coming back off of an injury, right? You telling me they're not going to compensate him? So I honestly feel Al Haymon is like, you know what? I got something for everybody. We got Canelo over here. Canelo doesn't want to fight Benavidez. It's just stupid. Morrell, some people say Morrell still has an amateurish style. He hasn't really developed a professional style. Those are the fights we want to see Canelo in. But let me tell you, Al Haymon's not going to give Canelo those fights because Canelo doesn't want them. Remember, Canelo gets to pick and choose. So he sits back and is like, you know what? I got Earl Spence over here. I got Terrence Crawford. We signed Terrence Crawford for 2 fights. If you listen to Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence talk, you got to listen to what they're saying, right? Both of those guys are saying they're going up to 154. If you listen to them, especially Earl Spence, if Earl Spence wins, he ain't talking about no rematch with Crawford. He's bouncing to 154. He said if Crawford loses, no, he said if Crawford wins, then, no, let me say it right. Earl Spence said if he wins, he wants to go to 154. But he said Crawford's stubborn. Crawford would probably push for the rematch. And then Earl Spence would have to rematch him. But what he did say is, not sure if it'll be at 147 or if the rematch will be at 154. Right? I heard when he said that, and I was like, how the hell are they going to do that? But it goes all the way back to when Suleiman was trying to make Earl Spence and Keith Thurman at 154, basically checking the block for Keith Thurman's mandatory position at 147, but they're going to fight at 154. So what I'm getting at is, when it comes to the secret society and these key decision makers, they do what they want. Long story short, Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence, soon after this first fight or rematch, they're going to probably go up to 154, okay? That's what it looks like. So coming back to Jermell Charlo, they're going to handsomely compensate him to go up. Now let's just look at this so y'all understand. This is where he's at now in his weight division, right? He's going to go up, not here. He's going all the way up here. 2 weight divisions to bang with Canelo. People, you always hear. We were just talking about this. If Earl Spence goes up to 154 to fight Keith Thurman, Earl Spence won't come back. When fighters go up in weight, they normally don't come back down, right? It's not my words. All the boxing experts are saying that. Ex-pro boxers, current pro boxers, even active pro boxers. Once you go up a weight division, you don't come back. To go up 2 weight divisions and to think you're going to come back down, y'all remember, look, everyone here should remember Roy Jones. The man went up and fought John Ruiz at heavyweight. And Roy Jones never looked the same because he had to shed muscle to come back down with a short period of time to come fight Antonio Tarver. Didn't work out very well for him. And then Antonio Tarver goes and does the Rocky movie, and he comes back down, melts down all that weight to fight Bernard Hopkins, and Antonio Tarver didn't look that well. So what I'm getting at is, when boxers put on weight, don't expect them to come back down. Now with Jermell Charlo, I think the plan is for him to go up fight Canelo, get that retirement fight money. He may get a rematch with him. I don't know. These are things you got to understand. And then if he gets 2 fights with Canelo, Jermell Charlo would have been, he'd be out of here financially. My man would have probably made 50, 60, 70 million. Who knows? And some of that money, man, you better believe he's going to take care of his brother. Because the reason Jermell's getting this opportunity is because of his brother. I know for a fact that Jermell Charlo said, when Jermell Charlo said he can't take the fight because of his personal issues, he said, give it to Jermell. I'm sure that's how that worked out. This is my fight. Give it to Jermell. He's active. He doesn't have the stresses in his life like me. I'll take it. But you know what? I know really that I'm not where I need to be, coming off, over 2 years of a layoff. Give it to Jermell. Al Haymon, they looked at that and they said, got it. But we need Jermell to drop those belts. And I'm sure they had that conversation. You go up, we get your retirement fight, maybe 2 fights against Canelo. You drop those belts at 154. You can go on and do something else. Remember, Jermell Charlo had already talked about going to 160. His brother talked about going to 168. Right? I'm not making that up. This is the motivator to get Jermell to bubble on up to 168. He can come back down to 160. 154, I don't know. So that's what's going to happen. And all those belts at 154 will be free. Now, Al Haymon can have his guy, Earl Spence, and Terrence Crawford, depends on what he decides to do. But if he decides to hang around for a few more fights over there with Al Haymon and PBC, well, now he got Al Haymon and Earl Spence who go up and bang out everybody at 154. Because when you take a look at 154, let me tell you something right now, right? 154 looking pretty damn good right now as far as opportunities. You telling me Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford at 154 can't bang with Zoo? They can't knock out Fundora? Smith is a good fighter. That'd be an interesting fight, but they can't give Smith the business. Mendoza could be a bit tough, but they can't give Mendoza the business. Lubin, he's good, but I just don't think he's on their level. Ramos, Harrison's already out of there. Conwell. So when you look at what's at 154, I mean, it's wide open. You understand? Absolutely wide open. And when you come down and start looking at some of these other names, man, some of y'all probably even know who these guys are. You know what I mean? Sergey Bahuchuk, James Metcalf, Magomed Kurbanov, Austin, no doubt, Trout still hanging around in there, and then Danny Garcia's he's hanging around. But what I'm getting at is 154 is wide open. And once Jermell, he drops those belts, Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence go up, and they probably take over 154. And who knows, they could have another undisputed bout at 154. Just those two. I'm just being real with you. So I think Al Haymon, man, these guys out here playing chess. He's very strategic. And I think this is something that was discussed between Al Haymon and Canelo's team. He 3 fights. Jermell possibly twice, because he is an undisputed champion coming up to fight him. If he loses, give him another opportunity. That'll be 2 fights. So Canelo gets to fight 2 fights against an undisputed champion, 2 weight classes below him, but it's a small guy. And that's what Canelo likes, fighting the small fighters. And then his 3rd fight will probably be against Earl Spence. That's just being real with you. You know what I'm saying? Because Earl Spence doesn't even want to be at 147. Earl Spence probably really should be more around 160. So what you see it is Al Haymon, Canelo on the same page. Al Haymon, the Charlo brothers on the same page. Al Haymon, Terrence Crawford, and Earl Spence on the same page. And the bottom line is it's a win-win for everybody involved. Al Haymon wins because he's got 4 of the biggest names. Spence, Crawford, Jermell, Charlo, and Canelo Alvarez. Those guys are mixing it up. It's a win-win because they all make real money. It's a win-win because they're all going to be involved in undisputed distinctions. It's a win-win because Crawford and Spence are going to bubble up to 154 and go right probably into title fights. And then within 3-4 fights, they'll probably be sitting there fighting for the undisputed distinction at 154, a weight which they both should be more comfortable at. And Jermell Charlo and his brother will be sailing off into the sunset into retirement. And they'll have more money than they could ever dreamed about, thanks to Al Haymon, thanks to Canelo. And that's just how I see it. Anybody out here who doesn't understand what's going on, I got to tell you to hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. This is a retirement fight for Jermell Charlo and Jermall Charlo. And Jermell is thanking his big brother for giving him the opportunity to fight Canelo. Because Jermall could have been selfish. Jermall, let me tell you something. Talk about altruism at its finest. Jermall Charlo could have been selfish. Went and took the fight. And who knows what would have happened. I still give him a good chance, but you got to favor Canelo, right? With the inactivity of Jermall Charlo. Wasn't selfish. Allowed his brother, you take the fight. People thinking, oh man, Canelo cherry-picked Jermell. Nah, man. Jermall said, no, give that opportunity to Jermell. Jermell already said he wanted to fight Canelo. He ain't afraid. And that's the right one anyway to put in there with him. You know, Jermell, he don't care. You hit him, he going to fight back. So let's see what happens. But that being said, that's how I see it. And people understand this, man. You start looking at what's going on at 154. But just understand, for Jermell to go up all the way here to 168. Look, man, Canelo could come in that ring at 180. You know what I'm saying? Jermell could, no kidding, be outweighed as far as from where he normally weighs at 154. It could be a 30, 35-pound difference in weight for him. You know what I'm saying? You just can't expect Jermell Charlo to move around the ring as fluid as he's moved before with that kind of weight on him. So they had to make it a win-win for him. And I think that money's going to be so good to where he's like, you know what? If I lose, I lose. I don't care. Because look at the money I made. And he goes into a rematch. If he decides, and he makes crazy money again. But if he beats Canelo, oh, Lord have mercy, man. You'll never hit the end of it. And Derek James, let me tell you something. He don't want to take on more fighters. But he's going to have fighters, man, breaking his door down to get into his gym. I'm just being real with you. Anyway, that being said, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. But this is how I see it. I think Al Haymon gave Jermell Charlo the retirement fight to take care of him and his brother and said, hey, look, once you go up those weight classes, you don't want to be at 154 anyway. You come on down to 160. That's a safe weight class for you after gaining that kind of weight. And you can go there and dominate. And that way it frees up the belts at 154. And then Earl Spence can go up. That way you and him don't have to fight. Derek James don't have to worry about who he has to train. And then now I can make you a champion at 160. Your brother go up to 168. He'll probably become a champion there. And then I got Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford, those guys, looking to bang it out at 154 all over again for an undisputed distinction. So it's all win-win for Al Haymon, still controlling. And the thing is, Al Haymon be controlling not only 154, well, 147, but 154, potentially 160, and 168, depending on how things go with Jermell Charlo and Canelo. So Al Haymon, man, will be running 4 different divisions. Now, say what you want about Al Haymon, but that man, his mind is on point. Talk about thinking out the box. Talking about looking forward. Talk about long-term planning. What's that? Risk versus the reward. Doing the right analysis to do what's best for not only his company, the business, but for his fighters, and to really get them to not only understand, but to agree. You know how hard it is to get people to understand and agree? I can get you to understand what I'm trying to do. If I tell my son, I don't want you to go to the pool today because it's 117 degrees out here with the heat index. It's too hot. He understands. Yeah, I understand, Dad. But I don't agree. I still want to go get in the water. You know what I'm saying? But when you get someone that say, you know what, I understand and I agree, probably not the right thing to go out in that heat. Let's stay in the house and play Uno. Let's do something else. But it's hard to birth understanding. And I think Al Haymon just has a gift for that. And everyone who he works with, I have yet to hear anyone say anything bad about him except for clowns who really want to be in his space. That being said, y'all keep cool. Retirement ahead for Jermell Charlo, I'm telling y'all. If not, he's going to come down to 160 and keep banging it out and keep getting paid. Absolutely brilliant plan by Al Haymon. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. That brotherly love is real. Glad to see it from those twins in the breeze.